Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to the podcast. Shane, I'm excited to have you. We've known each other now for probably a little over a year.
Something like that.
Kids around the same age. You live in the city. There's so many similarities, which I feel like is not often these days. There's not a lot of kids in the city anymore. But that's okay. I'm super excited to have you. The first time you and I met was through social media. I stopped by Piazza in Palo Alto, and I grabbed a couple bottles, met one of your guys. He suggested some things, and I was super impressed with the selection. I stopped in to just grab a sandwich in the middle of the day, and then I looked at the wine aisle, and I was like, whoa, this is really intentional.
Thank you.
So outside of Piazza, I don't think you and I have really spoken much on kind of your background, where you come from, how wine found you. So if you want to do the and run us through the story.
Yeah. Well, wine definitely found me. I would say that's a good description of it. Really at the base of it, I'm a grocery boy through and through. Like first job, Safeway, like in high school. Did the whole courtesy clerk, checker, night crew, up and down. Smoked a lot of weed at the time, like kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Like did that for better part of 5 years. So going into like my early 20s, and then early 20s found me and bounced around a little bit more throughout Northern and Central California.
Okay.
Doing kind of odd jobs, and I actually worked on elevators for a little while, which was super cool. Asked me about the time I met Charles Manson. But no, we can talk about that some other time. And then after that, once I started stabilizing, I was working like security, met my wife, moved to the city, was sleeping on my friend's floor, worked at a corner store bodega / deli on Valencia Street. And at the time I was like sort of drinking beer, but not really, but I was interested in it. So then like one thing led to another. I started working at Gus's as just like a grocery clerk, trying to like put in roots in the city, and like me and my wife moved in together soon thereafter. But within like 2 months, I was like working like 5 a.m. shifts in the dairy department, just like kind of hating life. But like Gus's was cool. Like I was intrigued by it at that time. Like we're talking like 2016.
Worst companies to work for.
Yeah. At 2016, like, that's when like Whole Foods was still kind of cool. And I was like digging the beer selection at places like that. And like I could see that Gus's was like the family owned version in the same vein. So I was like buying beer there, like literally purchasing beer there. And then within like 2 months, the beer buyer left, and I was like, that seems like a cool job. And Gus's, God bless them, they definitely like don't, there's not too much financial incentive to like have cool titles like that, which is like an interesting model actually, because it does like craft a certain type of or take a certain type of person. So
you fill in what you want to fill in. It's not necessarily taking a job because you just want more money.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see.
And apparently they were going. My former boss, who was the wine buyer for Gus's as a company at the time, he liked me. We got along. He kind of like gave me an impromptu interview, like looking at the beer set, and I was like, I don't know what like most of these things are. And he's like, it's not, I don't know. And then like a month went by, and I guess they tried to hire like some real serious beer person who demanded like a real salary. And they're like, yeah, we don't do that. And then my boss was like, all right, come on over.
That's funny.
And long story short, that environment in Gus's, like we're talking 2017 to like 2021, 22. One of the most special groups of people, like credit to Gus's, like the environment that they curated, credit to my old boss, Billy, and my colleagues at the time, Jose and Glenn, were just like really serious wine people, like quietly in their own regard, who had their own journey and story, and like held themselves really well, but also were really cool people. And that's what started, like I was a beer guy, right? So I was a beer buyer. And that always felt natural to me. Like it's like casual and approachable. You're just kind of like chilling. You're just the beer guy. Like low stakes. You can still like nerd out to a certain degree, but you're just the beer guy. So like I leaned into that pretty heavily to like engage in like whatever degree of like academic knowledge, etc., that I wanted to engage in, but I never, like, wine was always super intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would watch tastings, I would participate in some tastings and stuff, but I always felt a little not excluded, but like just I did not out of place, not really up to the task.
Yeah.
But my coworkers would like drag me and be like, no, dude, you taste it, like, let's go. And then just force some sort of feedback from me, what I think or what I thought it was. And yeah, like, that group of people was just super special, and like speaks to, I don't know, retail's a weird thing, where like you can get all sorts of people who have their own vision and stuff, but to get it in a way that's like people that you actually want to like spend time with, and then also like learn from and respect their knowledge. Because like, I don't know, wine to me, especially like coming up that way, has always felt like sort of mystifying or like exclusionary in its own right, you know. So to see that it could not be that, and even from my coworkers, and then meeting certain reps who are like, yo, I would have a beer with you type thing, or like, I want to hang out with you, or like, you're actually like my peer and not like a professional influence, or like a, you know, whatever it is type stuff. And then from there, Gus's was dope, and I was there for a better part of 5 years, endured the pandemic. Shout out pandemic retailers. But then I worked at Woodlands for a year after that. Another thing about retail is just like, you work in a grocery store, and I tell that to my few employees now, all two of them, that like absolutely like love this stuff, engage with it, learn, like maximize your learning, whatever degree you want, but also at the end of the day, like, we work at a grocery store,
right?
You know, and that could be a positive statement, and it can also be like a cautionary statement. At the end of the day, we work at a grocery store, so like there's pros and cons to that. Retail environments, they can get tired after a little while. So moved on to Woodlands, and I was the wine manager there. So I went from beer buyer, never changed titles in 4.5 years, to wine manager.
Of 3 locations, effectively, right?
No, I was actually I was actually shooting for that. That was my primary goal when I popped into Woodlands. And that was discussed when I was interviewed, and I had a really good interview, and met the owners of the company, and was like, this is something that you could do. This is what Gus's does. They have a buyer for all 3 stores. And it never quite came to that. I was there for about a year. My daughter was born. And then on my paternity leave, I got a text from my now boss, pretty much my direct boss, who was like, hey, I came into your store. I know your rep. He'll reach out to you with some contact info, whatever. Hit up these people. We want to sit down with you. And then I met the Piazzas and their little circle, and the rest is history. And we're almost 4 years into it now, I think, since 2022. So, yeah.
The set that you guys have over there is interesting to me. I think maybe I'm wrong. I think I've only been to the Palo Alto location. No, that's not true. We tasted at the other location also. The one in Palo Alto I remember going into, and I remember the majority of the program seems to have a focus on locality, right? There's a lot of Santa Cruz Mountain producers, things like that, which also feels like that's the case in the Peninsula. A lot of people give a shit about Santa Cruz, where I don't feel like that's necessarily the case in San Francisco, unfortunately. But was it you that kind of drove the focus towards that, or was that always kind of a focus of the store?
I would yes and yes to a degree. Piazza's historically, I think, has had some value for locality, for sure. Just as a business, like wine, whether or not that's included, you know, curation wise, like, you know, whatever, but like valued that principle. I mean, it is like a true mom and pop, you know, like they are OG. They've been in the Peninsula for 30 plus years. Like Rick Piazza, the son of the owner, the head Piazza, was like, I saw him today, you know, like he's directly involved. He's in the stores. He's part of the company, like still, like, you know, the part of the identity of the company, and will have conversations about this type of stuff. And he was like a grocery buyer for the company in the 90s and 2000s. So, yeah, dude, like he, the wine program, I definitely from what was there when I got there, not speaking ill of anybody, it had fallen out of form. And from what I know, that there's been ups and downs, and like certain buyers or people in positions similar to mine that were kind of legendary, or had their own vision and stuff, and it was successful. So like that is great and a good legacy of the company. But when I took it over, it was pretty rough. It had definitely fallen into like the southern R&DC.
Yeah, what can sell itself. Yeah,
let the reps kind of curate. Like, well, we're gonna put this up there, and it's see what'll happen.
Yeah.
It does great everywhere. The classic, But I pretty much discontinued like 300 wines when I got there.
Yeah.
And that being said, like the sets are huge. Like, unprecedentedly huge for 2026 grocery stores, independent grocery stores, and even like I don't think there's a bigger wine set like beyond like your specialty wine retailers.
Sure,
like,
yeah, in a grocery store. Yeah, that's a good point.
Whole Foods, Safeway, whatever. Like they're huge.
Yeah.
So we've actually condensed it, and like I still think they're too big, but that's a different story.
Sure.
We're consolidating, we're focusing, all good stuff. But yeah, on my wine journey too, like from Woodlands, like leaving Gus's and like having Woodlands as like a challenge to grow, and then like taking on Piazza's as a 2-store program, my natural journey has like led me to California wine for sure. Like I actually love California wine, and like being in the Peninsula, I have like much more appreciation for the average Chardonnay consumer and like how you can connect to them. And same with like any of the big fours, right? Like your Pinots and Cabs, like connecting with people who buy basic shit, but also like they might be stuck in their ways, or just kind of like doing the easy thing and buying just in Cab.
Yeah, I know this brand. I know I'm not going to be disappointed.
Exactly. Yeah. And then like you talk to them, and you can still like buy the bottle that you know and love, and just try to give them that extra bottle. And maybe they need a little extra nudge sometimes, where you're like, I've given bottles to customers just who I see regularly, just take it, like, and just like then come back and talk to me, even if you don't love it. Then we'll like just talk more if you're willing to try things. And then like California wine's sick, and then like realizing that the Peninsula and commuting from San Francisco too is like not my favorite thing. I rode my bike to work every day for 5 years. Yeah. So commuting has been a whole journey, and still like something I wrap my head around daily, weekly. But realizing I'm in the Peninsula and learning a little bit more about the Peninsula, and then like it is like the backyard of the Santa Cruz Mountains. And then like early on, one of my reps, Robert Parker, the real Robert Parker, not the real
this
Robert
wine's
Parker.
100 points. This wine's 100. You get 100 points. You get 100 points.
Robert Parker of Hunter, when Ridge was with them, he invited me to like one of the Ridge, or like the seminar, one of the release. It might have been the Montebello release seminar with like one of the winemakers and stuff at Ridge at Montebello, and that was where I was like, oh shit, I just drove like an extra 30 minutes from Palo Alto or whatever and up the hill, and I'm here and meeting these cool people and like drinking these wines and seeing this scene before me, and that like blew my mind a little bit. We're like, no, we're right here, dude. Like, we're right here. And along the way, just like, I don't know, me as the individual that I am, like I am on social media. I have fallen victim to trendy, like the natural wine thing. Like I was at Gus's, like natural wine was big. I did like the natural wine thing at Woodlands and started the program at Piazza's, and like without saying anything too negative, like there's a lot of that space occupied by things that only appeal to a certain demographic of people.
Sure. Yeah.
And don't necessarily appeal to a more general spectrum of individuals, and by that I mean more like legacy wine drinkers who have probably been drinking wine longer than I've been alive, type of stuff. And it just so happens that those are a lot of my primary customers. So like a lot of the California red blends that retail for $34.99 and like might have some VA or like some Brett or like just general strangeness to them didn't really work. But then accepting that fact that like, oh, I can't sell all the trendy shit that Gus's can sell, and I can't like be that cool guy. But if you take a closer look, there's actually some really badass people who know what the fuck they're doing and like are in the like local as we can get, like Santa Cruz Mountains, Cienega Valley, and like just like, as you know, we're talking like Pinnacles National Park, like, you know, this is all like locale, like we're not, you don't got to cross the bridge, you're like, we're right here. People who are like true winemakers, true like farm minded individuals who care a lot about the product they're producing, and whether it's like the Madsen Pinots, Sam Smith Chardonnays.
Oh, the Samuel Smith stuff's so fucking good.
Ryan Sturm, Cab Pfeffer, shout out Cab Pfeffer, you know, like stuff like that where like Ryan's stuff, like the Cab Pfeffer is like a great gateway drug to people just because it sounds crazy and it sounds exotic and strange, but also when you drink it, it's like,
it's super palatable.
This is just like delicious, crunchy. If you like Pinot Noir or Gamay, like come to the table, you know?
Exactly.
And then like to be able to sell like really cool Chardonnay to Chardonnay drinkers or like traditional California Chardonnay drinkers, where I'm like, this has minerality to it, you know? Like, or like this has like a little less new oak on it. It still has oak, don't worry, and it's really good and textural and delicious and fresh, but also like it's gonna deliver all those.
You can also taste a little terroir in here.
Yeah, totally, dude. So yeah, the California thing is like kind of just, I've always liked local whatever stuff anyways, but like the Piazza's experience has definitely shaped my wine vision to wanting to like, I don't know, being like homies with people too, meeting people and like seeing the culture around it, and like, I don't know, it speaks to the idea that like wine is like exclusionary in a way, and like it's kind of always like a limited hangout, if you will. But like once you get your foot in the door, or you have access to like the first step, and then you see certain people, and you're like, you can kind of like loosen up and like be like, all right, it's like not, but the same people will like blind fucking Arbois and shit, like, but that being said, like that's not the precedent that we're setting for like friendship, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's fascinating to think about kind of the dynamics about people getting into wine in the beginning, right? And like, I mean, I remember a $10 bottle of wine to me when I first started learning about wine was like a big fucking deal. I thought that was so expensive. And, you know, I remember trying it and being like, okay, it's fine. You know, I didn't really give a shit about it. And now I like, you know, daughter's middle name's Riesling. I mean, we're like really, really dedicated.
I didn't know
to
that.
the wine. Oh yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. Daughter's middle name's Riesling. So I want to focus a little bit too on the Santa Cruz thing a little bit more, because I felt like I had so much to learn when I came in. And these might not be exactly, well, I mean, the two that I have written down, I think, are both Santa Cruz. When I came in, there was so many things that I didn't know that I felt like really inclined to find somebody that worked in the wine department. That's when I met Ramiro, who was an incredible like steward to the program. And for me, somebody that's dedicated so much of my life to wine, to come in and I'm like, okay, I know all these things, but I want to try something cool and new. And for him to be able to walk me through it, because as a classicist in many ways, I find that when I go somewhere and I see a new label, I'm always like, is it natty or not? You know? And so Ramiro was able to really walk me through things and got me onto catch and release and got me onto assiduous. And the assiduous wines are fantastic. But yeah, I mean, that there was so many small producers that I'd never heard of and never seen before. And you bring up a really valid point that Santa Cruz is an hour and a half from here.
Yeah.
And Napa's an hour and a half, depending on traffic, from here. But Napa and Sonoma obviously play a much more vast role in the wine industry, where Santa Cruz, I think, can really surprise people. So are there other producers besides Catch and Release and Assiduous, anybody that you want to give a quick shout out to? I mean, there's probably a lot.
Well, Assiduous for one, like as far as like gateway drugs or even just like general wine to drink that like is made with a natural mindset, but like is super clean and classic and true to like the terroir, and it's really affordable. You're talking about like $30 bottles of single vineyard Santa Cruz Mountain Pinot Noir. And every wine, like they make a Malbec, a Santa Cruz Mountains Malbec, that's super sick.
I had a Gruner that blew my fucking
Gruner's
mind,
dope.
and it was like $20 bucks.
Yeah, they're sick, dude. Keegan's dope. He's actually the winemaker at Bargetto.
Oh, okay.
So like this tells a little bit of the story of how he's able to achieve some of those things. But yeah, Cole from Madsen, Sam Smith, some of the Arnott Roberts wines, like the Santa Cruz, like single vineyard stuff coming out of there. They do an Ascona Pinot, or an Ascona Sauvignon Blanc, an Ascona Sauvignon Blanc. That's fucking insane. Like, I actually just met Duncan Arnott for the first time. We tasted in Golden Gate Park, and just like those wines are, I don't know, they're like a super ethereal and like really, really cool. And back in my Gus's days, like I remember my boss always gravitating towards those wines, and like there was just like a classiness to them that really speaks to something like they're like very classic, almost like old California, true old California in a way. And like that's what I feel like what's being rediscovered too is like old California, Santa Cruz Mountains and like San Benito County. Like this is OG shit. Like this is like oldest world California wine, like before when Napa was growing fucking olives or whatever, like oranges or whatever the fuck.
Peas and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like our agriculture, you know, like it's all, which is all cool shit too. But like Santa Cruz Mountains and these areas are like some of the most like historical. Like you can't even. There's like the records stop and there was still wine being made at the time that you can't trace to anything like between like Spanish influence or by like beyond like real. Like California knowledge starts in the 1850s, like in terms of American history, but like that doesn't even tell the story.
There was grapes here prior.
Dude, it's crazy. So like, like I don't know, man. Like so those are Ryan Sturm, like one of the most interesting individuals who I've like talked to, who could speak to like incredible academic. True like winemaking technique, knowledge, deep knowledge, farming, etc. And is also just like such a cool guy. Like would just to have a sip of wine with and just like super chill and everything's like easy peasy. But at the same time, just somebody who has like a plethora of knowledge and like there's that younger generation ish. Again, like people that I can relate to and not feel as like distant from, which is super cool. Man, like that's and like trying to get that generation encapsulated in the Piazza set, share that message of like, hey, there's people doing these things and it matters a lot, and like they're not legacy wine producers, they don't belong to a corporation or like a conglomerate. They're forging a path, and some of these people have like come up to a certain degree where they have like they're producing a certain amount of wine and like it's still not very much, but like like there's like a precedent. Like some of these wines are like have great reputations already, and like the scores are starting to come in, and it's all coming together. But just trying to be a part of something new that's also old, that speaks to like true genuine values and building it up from there. And like I don't know, it all aligns too with like the Piazza's mom and pop shop type vibe, and then like I've had a couple like little wine fair type things with the winemakers and stuff, and like people meeting winemakers, and then I'm like, dude, this is crazy.
I mean, I think intention plays a major role in what I like, and I think too we were having this conversation on a recent podcast, which was just that like intention seems to be, we all say people are drinking less, and in a way, sure, they might be drinking less, but there's more intentionality behind what they're drinking, right? They're not grabbing a 18-pack of Coors Light and facing it every night. Now they're going to have, like a couple craft beers, or they're going to have, open a bottle of wine or whatever. I mean, there's still plenty of people that do that.
I was going to say, speak for yourself.
I mean, I love Coors. That was my dad's beer of choice.
My dad still drinks Coors Light.
So I think that, it's great to go into places still and see like that intention, because there's so many places that I go into that, especially in the grocery world, that are just dominated by the names, and there's, shelf talkers, and it's just kind of like, I like a shelf talker here and there, but like if it's just about 98 point from some ranking system you've never fucking heard of, like.
When you say shelf talker, you're talking about the produced ones.
Yeah, right. Like not the house-made.
From the distributor,
I like the house-made ones, like staff pick. I like it because of this, or so-and-so's pick. I think those are really fucking cool. But yeah, I mean, when I worked at Glazer's, we had a whole database where we could go to select a wine, and you would hit a button, and it would have all this marketing material already developed for you. And the shelf talkers, you'd print them out, and they were like 4 to a sheet, and you'd cut them, and you'd just tape them on the shelf,
Literally, dude. Imagine, I mean, take that. How long ago was that?
10 years ago.
Take that.
11 years ago. Shit.
Take that with AI now. Like,
oh,
dude,
yeah.
like, fuck. Like, and you can tell, like, yeah, right now you can tell the difference, but, like, soon enough, most people won't, or some people can't now tell the difference between AI and what's real. And, like, when I started at Piazza's, like, the first couple weeks, I would literally walk out of the set with like a fucking handful of tapes, like old laminated shitty shelf talkers, and they're all like different styles, different fonts.
Yeah, because every rep did
different. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Some of them are like, yeah, I get it, like they look decent, and then other ones are like, dude, what the fuck is this?
You didn't even
Get
try.
this shit out of here, dog. Like Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
And then even like some of the smaller producers in that regard are like guilty. Some of the like the smaller like historic legacy producers are guilty of that. But like, yeah, I mean, real shelf talkers, like that's a program that I've helped launch at Piazza's is like real shelf talkers that like say plenty. Yeah. It's like, it's a formula. It's like 4 sentences.
Right.
Quick summary, some interesting sentence that like sounds a little different or catches your attention, and then just like a quick hitter tasting note, or something it goes good with, just to like capture attention. And like what I find, dude, is like all customers want, most people are pretty down to try whatever. They just want like reassurance or like some suggestion that aligns with like something in the back of their mind subliminally that they want to hear, whether it's like oak for Chardonnay drinkers, or like just like the like fruity, crunchy, any basic sentiment that you can package in a slightly different way that they're like, oh, that sounds like, oh, that's cool, like that's fine, as opposed to like it being like scary or like too pretentious or anything like that.
Or you're talking about pH levels in a wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only had one account at Chambers that I would do shelf talkers for, and it was Coit Liquor in North Beach. And he was like very adamant, like you have to have shelf talkers. That was like required. And so mine were like, the name, where it came from, and I would have like a meal to pair it with, a cheese to pair it with, and then like something else. I don't know. And then I would put points or whatever at the bottom. But it was like really simple, and it's something that a customer while they're walking around can look and go like, oh, I'm going to my friend's house for dinner. I don't know what I should get. And they're making lamb, and then you're going, oh, this shelf talker says this wine goes with lamb.
Exactly.
Lay it up. Yeah.
It's just like a tool to make it easy, like simplify it, make it easier.
Because you guys don't have enough time on the floor to sell to every customer.
Yeah, truly, dude. I mean, like I don't spend as much time in the stores or on the floor as I wish I did, and like when I do, I'm like, this is great. Like that's what I want. And then trying to hire help that's not even, I don't want to say capable, because anybody's capable of selling wine actually, but just like willing. It's, I don't know, the employment market is crazy right now, but I finally do have 2 people, one at each store. And like Ramiro that you spoke about, like young kid who reminded me a little bit of myself, who like he's not even really a drinker, and like he was super young when I met him. He was like 22, 23 years old, super young, and had no experience with wine. But I find that that's like the best person to talk to, or like best person to like put all of this stuff in front of, especially if it's like a little bit curated and a little bit thoughtful, so that like he can see that I have like a vision or something. He doesn't need to understand all of it, but like a little bit of a vision, some intention behind it. And then like his mind is fresh, right? And like he's young, he's hardworking, he's capable of doing all the physical stuff. And then also like he's a young kid on the floor, so that also has like an appeal to it, to like any range of customers. So it's like, dude, like I can tell you about this stuff and you can learn, like, but I don't expect you to be a somm. I don't even want you to be a somm. Like don't be a somm. But like, there's something, again, just like demystifying wine to people and saying that like it's accessible. And then like the little bit of surprise that I used to get when I would like talk to customers who were a little more ambitious in their selection of like wanting to be convinced or wanting to get to the nitty gritty of like when they, you know, their experience, whatever, where I would speak to something to a degree that they're like, wait, you drink these wines, or like you've had all these? And I'm like, you know, at that time, you know, within the last 5 to 8 years, you know, under 30, dressed like this in a grocery store, kind of just like nonchalant talking, like not even hyping myself up, but like a little bit surprising. But they're like, again, like connecting. They might be 30 years older than me, and like, again, probably drank more wine in their life than me and know plenty of things. But like the fact that I can talk to them, and
but
like,
you have mastery over your set.
Exactly.
You know?
I'm like I'm being honest, you know. I'm not selling wine, I'm sharing wine. And that's like that, dude, that's it. Like and that's, I think, part of like the path forward, or whatever reckoning the wine industry has going for it right now, is like a reckoning with the nature of reality, really, but reckoning with the nature of like what people's relationship with wine, yes, money, but yeah, like finding that middle ground of like, there's still going to be people who spend money on wine and want to engage with it. I think you just need to increase the value that people get from it, and that's like put that in the Golden Brands fucking employee handbook or whatever, you know, because they're selling everything now, so they're gonna need to figure it out.
They're gonna have to figure it out. I think, you know, to the point of having somebody on the floor selling, or having somebody like in the shop that's able to discuss the wines that doesn't know everything, is so advantageous, because the general public, when they come in, they don't want to feel like inundated or intimidated immediately. So it's always helpful when you have somebody that it feels approachable, and it doesn't feel like, hey, I fucking know everything. Like, you know, like, welcome to my shop. What single variety wines do you like the most? And the customer's like, I like bold reds. And you're like, okay, great, you know? So I wanted we were talking about ciders before the podcast. I wanted to share a funny story. I wrote it down. And you were telling me, what winery was it that's making Scar of the Sea?
Scar of the Sea
has made ciders, or is potentially still making ciders?
I think they still make ciders. I can't 100% confirm it. I think they make a brut cider still to this day.
Yeah, I want to check it out, because the only other like major winery that I can think of that I've had a cider from is Drew, and I really love their ciders. I thought that they were great. And you were talking about the pandemic, and this is what kind of connected these two dots for me. But it was just like, I have a tendency to hold on to everything too much, you know? And so we bought a couple bottles of cider, and I go like,
Typical song.
I know, this is it. I'm going to hold on to these, you know, it's cider. Who gives a fuck really at the end of the day? But like, that's how I should feel about all the wines too, you know? And it was during the pandemic, and we ended up just drinking it and eating like raw cookie dough at the same time. And it was perfect. It was the best pairing ever, right? Because it was unpretentious, and it was fun, and it was just like my wife and I just hanging out and relaxing and enjoying a good time, which I think is so valuable. The balance that it takes to kind of strike gold, if you will, between carrying more commercially recognizable brands and smaller producers. Is there a ratio that you find that kind of works? Are there brands that you can't get rid of in regard to like large brands? And are those brands often something maybe that like fall into a certain category, say the bottom shelf?
Yeah, for sure. I've come a long way in my attitude towards all of these things, and I would say that I'm very passionate about like being anti-corporate, like large corporate, like bulk wine, you know, like mentally, don't get me started on like the Golden Brands, Gallo, etc. Conversation is just like, it's deeply personal to me. But all that being said, like, there's a time and a place for a lot of wines. I would say that you got to draw the line somewhere for sure. Yeah. And for me, the line is like maybe like the Mondavi barrel age or bourbon barrel age shit. Like I just don't need to go that far, you know. Like Safeway is also just going to beat me on price.
Exactly.
So like if I'm just exposing myself more if I put it out there. Yeah. But like, I mean, like, dude, I tell people this is like Rombauer Rombauer Shard, they have a newer winemaker. Like, I think he's from New Zealand, and like, dude, that shit's fine.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
yeah.
fine. It's not the caricature that you make it like that it has been. Like, it's got some acidity.
Right.
It's fine. Like, you know, like it is what it is for sure. Like, you know, identity wise, but like also if I have people buying $40 Rombauer every single week, then like, yeah, I can like talk to them here and there and like pop them an extra bottle. Like I've sold some Sam Smith and stuff to people, but like ultimately that's the type of customer that like you're just grateful they're there. Like that's why I sell it at a certain price point, like $39.99. Like don't make full margin on it, but like just respectfully, like if you're gonna buy your Rombauer here, like we got you. That type of thing. And then otherwise, like I mean, like I was telling you, we sell Sutter Home 200 ml 4-packs, you know, and it's like I said, I discontinued like 300 wines when I started, and there was actually some cool wines in the mix too that are like that just nobody knows what the hell's going on. Like this has just got to go. But just like I was joking a lot at the time with my reps who would take it super personal. Like, dude, I don't need Kendall Jackson Rosé. Like, I don't need the rosé, and I don't need the red
or
wine.
La Marca rosé.
Yeah, dude. I don't need it. You know, like I get the relationship you're trying to build. I understand, like, but also like, let's be realistic here. I don't need every SKU of every like. Yeah. I'm gonna do well with La Crema SB and the Sonoma Coast Chardonnay. Do I need the new Cabernet, dog? Like, no, I do not. Like, and the truth is, I look the reps in the eyes. I'm like, dude, you don't need this shit, dog. You're not happy about this either. I get the nature of the beast. Like, it's trying to your manufacturing sales or your pods or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But like, dog, at the end of the day, like, is this helping either one of us?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that was one of the fascinating things, and I will say that like it's a give and a take, or it's two sides of the same coin. Maybe is a better way to say it. Is like when I worked for Glazers and then Southern Glazers, the incentives as a salesperson were massive. I mean, they were huge. You know, I left in December 2017, and I was still collecting incentive checks until June 2018. Just not huge, but there was just like residual incentives that were still paying out. And I don't know, I mean, it was great, but I can also see where it goes bad. A great example, there was a restaurant in the marina that closed maybe a year ago. And the first time I walked in, she goes, oh, yeah, you know, a rep helped me set up my menu. And I was like, oh, cool, you know. And we ate the food. The food was incredible. It was Indian food. The food was awesome. And then I started looking at the menu, and I was like, what the fuck? There's like 28 wines by the glass. It's Prisoner, Unshackled, such and such rosé, like all these, like everything is like a big brand. And I know what's happening is the rep's getting paid out on incentive, whether that's a $50 pod or it's $5 a case, you know, for 6 months, or whatever it is. I mean, there's this incentivization that's happening that ended up being detrimental to the restaurant, because the restaurant's hemorrhaging money on wine spoilage, because they set them up with all these wines, but God forbid you give them a Corvin or any training on how to not serve a wine that's 5 or 6 days old. And it just, I mean, it's a scary slope, and I could see why people like think that the bigger companies are evil or the bad guy or whatever in so many ways, but we just have like a really wonky system that I think we still really need to figure out. And I mean, just to tie that back in with a little bow to what you're talking about, carrying Sutter Home and carrying Rombauer, we vilify so many of these brands, which alienates or separates us further from the consumer.
Dude, exactly.
Right? Instead of accepting it for what it is and saying like, that's dope that you like that. Do you want to spend a little more money and try something really unique? It's the same style. It's what you want. There's a lot of like brand bashing, and I love the Angry Som, and I love when he bashes, you know, Wagner family, but you know, it doesn't necessarily make a better case for us.
There's like a degree of like those who truly deserve it, you know, like you gotta give it out, like where it's like really deserved. Like it's like any pushback from certain area where you're just like, all right, whatever,
for sure.
But like, no, that's a perfect example of like, if you went to Indiana right now and you could go to a restaurant, like an even a nicer restaurant, you'd find that wine list that you just mentioned, like that exact wine list, instead of it being like a family-owned San Francisco restaurant that should be like, super classy and like high-end or even high-end or whatever, but like, like it's a premium experience regardless, where like the level of the food matches the quality of the wines and the thought behind it. And like the second these larger companies get their hands on it, and like all it is relationships. Like we're just talking about personal relationships at the end of the day. So it's like, it's not all the company. Like it's just somebody trying to make ends meet, get the extra $5 or whatever.
I mean, I did pretty well for that.
Yeah,
company.
for sure. And like you can't hate on that too much. Yeah. Like, I mean, there's something to be said about it, but you can't hate on it too much. But I mean, all that being said too, like if you look at the way what has happened to the wine industry and you talk about the decline and blah, 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 doom and gloom, like really there's no one to blame but I would say themselves. I want to say ourselves, but like themselves, industrially speaking, like we haven't done ourselves many favors, the bulk wine market, etc., the way that these distributors have been empowered to be able to do these type of things. I mean, look at like the Golden Brands. I mean, Southern, I don't know. I actually like Southern a lot more these days, to be honest with you.
Yeah. They're not so bad anymore.
With the rise of Golden Brands, and I'll get this one off. I won't speak on Golden Brands more, but like it's logistics. Like you're talking Global Logistics Corporation, it's Coca-Cola, but on top of that, it's, like we're talking about like high technology trading and like weapons trafficking. Like they have all that figured out on moving product, and like then you apply that same like bringing AI back into the conversation too, of like all that brain power or whatever, and then apply it to little old Gallo or Robert Mondavi and like how to get individuals to sell this stuff, and then like you get results like that. And it's like what. And then that model stops working because restaurants aren't as successful, and then retailers are like, we're paying more for all this stuff and we can't sell as much and blah, blah, blah. And like, like the whole, I don't know. It's the on-prem versus off-prem. And then like, I don't know, all the models have been skewed from the get-go. Yeah. Like by design, and like there was a lot of advantage to be had from that for a long time. Yeah. But it also proven unsustainable. And like, had we met a little more in the middle from the get-go, I think the market would be in a different place than it is now.
I think we're seeing that with like larger brands that are coming way down in price. It's a $40 bottle. Now at BTG's at $20. The old BTG was $30 or whatever, but now they're taking it on the chin even more because they have so much product left over because retailers don't want it because they can't compete with on-prem price or whatever the thing that's happening is. There's some kind of issue that the chain is broken, and we had a couple strings of really good vintages and big vintages, and now we're just like overcropping. We have too much shit, and we're just like fire sailing everything.
You can't keep raising the price on reputation alone.
Yeah.
Like, you got to read the room, and there's a lot of guilty parties here, and like even parties that like aren't necessarily guilty and like they are just trying to adjust to the market, et cetera. But like, oh, we have to raise our prices because costs and et cetera. But like, you can't just raise vintage over vintage just because it's a high-end product and like, dude, nobody's buying fucking Montebello. Like, and like I say that as somebody who
fell in love with
exactly, dude. Like, but it's even like Silver Oak, they're like, oh, that 5K's price that we had before, it's now on one. And it's like, I don't really want the one. Dude, like, I'm good. Like, I have 3 people who are gonna buy it this year.
Right.
This year. Literally. And it's like, who else is buying it? People still buy $50, $60 wines. They're not buying $150 wines.
Yeah, I feel like that margin has slowed down dramatically. And I will say that, what I've seen on the on-premise side of things is in fine dining, the 175 plus bottle sales are still like decent. That's still happening. But I mean, even in retail, I was in Flatiron recently and I was just kind of like probing them with questions, and they said the same. It was like 50 to 75 is flying off the shelves. Sub 50 does really well. 100 plus, like, I mean, we have the brands, you get your allocation, it comes in, you can sell that, no problem. Yeah. But, some of the more like niche and boutique things require like significantly more hand sell, which is, I I guess just where we're at in this stage of evolution.
Yeah, and like as a retailer, like obviously I have a great appreciation for price consciousness, or like price to value to quality ratio and stuff, like whether that means a $30 bottle that overperforms at that price, or like $10 bottles, dude. I mean, that's what, thank God for Italy, right?
Right. And Portugal and all these
and
crazy
like Portugal
prices,
hasn't fully come up beyond Vino Verde.
Yeah.
And like we might see that become a little more helpful in the marketplace if people engage with it. It's there.
Yeah,
it's definitely there.
It's there.
But like, I mean, even like the same $10 Montepulciano that I sold at Gus's for years is still $10, and I sell the shit out of it, and I also drink it too. It's like my wife would tell you, half jokingly but serious, like that's her favorite wine, you know. It is where we're at. It's also like, I think it's a long time coming too. So like, again, like we've had it good enough for long enough to where now we're having to like face difficult questions. Yeah. And the reality is, the market's going to shrink and brands are going to disappear and vineyards are going to get taken out. But all is to say that, like, I think aside from like the market share that automatically belongs to the bad guy,
Sure.
There will be a little bit more space for the right people to do the right things, and they already are and have been doing those things. So like there has been like positioning and leverage to grow and find space to at least, I mean, maintain even is great. And that's kind of like, as a retailer, that's like kind of the name of the game right now. If you're maintaining, or at least seeing whether it's a little bit of growth or just sustainable dips where you can justify it and talk to it, speak to it, then it's like, I mean, it's tough, but like I think at the end of the day, like California wine will probably be better off in a couple years.
There'll be more intention behind production.
It forces it.
Yeah, and I think too, like in a way, at least from what I've seen, a lot of the brands that are disappearing. There's wineries that are closing, obviously too, but a lot of the brands that are disappearing are like brands that it's one winery that has 10 brands underneath it, so they're going to consolidate 4 or 5 brands, but they still have 5 brands under one fucking winery, so I don't feel quite as bad in many ways. I mean, I feel bad for the people that are specifically farmers that are not able to sell their fruit. That's who I feel bad for. I don't feel bad for, I don't feel bad for Silver Oak. I don't feel bad for Camus. I don't feel bad for like any of the big brands out there, but like I feel bad for farmers more than anybody.
And that, I mean, that comes back to like the conversation of sort of what drew me into the direction I'm trying to emphasize with Piazza. Is not just California wine, Santa Cruz Mountains wine, but I mean that expands pretty greatly once you recognize like a farmer or somebody who grows grapes and makes wine, or somebody where you see the direct pathway to it. And like, I don't know if you know who Ken and Abby Sweigels from. They're directly linked with Madsen. I think they're part owners of Madsen Wines, actually. But they steward and farm the Ascona vineyard, which is like the adjacent high elevation Santa Cruz Mountains vineyard, adjacent to Montebello, essentially, like within eye shot of Montebello.
Right.
Super special site, like a lot of newer vines, like not a ton of old vine stuff or anything, but like cool, diverse stuff going on there, and like incredibly special site, and like again, just like really cool people. Obviously, like fortunately they farm like one of the dopest spots in the world, maybe, California. So it's like they're gonna sell their fruit,
but it's probably like, not $350 a bottle.
Exactly. There's a few like premier Ascona single bottlings, but like a lot of the stuff you see is like that like semi-premium price point that you were talking, like what that flat iron successful price point. Like it might be $50 a bottle, but like that consumer still exists, and a lot of the people producing those wines, buying that fruit, are thoughtfully utilizing it to produce a product that makes sense for what it is, as opposed to just like inflating it based on whether it's reputation or just artificial inflation.
Just every year I increase the price until my sales slow down.
This is expensive wine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it was fascinating. I've probably said this before too. It's fascinating. When I started on the importing side of things, I had this really like great transparent conversation with my boss, and I just said like, well, what can we do about like by the glass price on something? And it was like a Sancerre or whatever. And I said, well, can't we get down on pricing anymore? And they said, well, no. And I said, well, help me understand why. And there was a Central Coast producer. And I said, this wine is $33 a bottle, but the BTG is 18. How do they shave that margin? And he goes, how do you think they got to 33? And I'm like, I don't know.
You tell me.
And he's like, okay, let me tell you how we got to our price. We're paying X number of euros a bottle. We're shipping it across the world in a ship. We're paying tariffs. We're shipping it from New Jersey to California. It's getting here. We have to take our margin. Then the next company has to take their margin. And you go, oh, okay. So yeah, sometimes these like inflated pricings are just, I mean, maddening to me. We had a master class with Diana Snowden from Dujac and Snowden. And in it, she said, somebody asked her like very blatantly, just said like, on average, how much does it cost to make a bottle of wine in Napa or in Burgundy? And she said, well, you know, with hand picking everything and the labor involved in that and the glass and the cork and the label, on average, it costs about $25 a bottle to make a bottle of Napa Cab. So then when you look at Napa Cabs that are $400 a bottle, thousands of dollars a bottle, how much of that is actually terroir and how much of that is actually just the commodity factor? It's scary.
It's hard to wrap your head around. Like everything you just spelled out is all worth considering, and like even like it is like crazy to me that we sell wine from Europe for like the $10 bottle of Montepulciano. Like, how the fuck did this get here? And like, you know, like how is anybody making money on this? And like it's almost surreal, you know, like it's just like I don't know how any of this works. And like I mean, Europe with their 200-plus-year-old family land ownerships, you know, goes a long way.
That's part of it.
But even that, just global, again, logistics conversations and shit, like it came all the way here. It went through a distributor. It went from New York to California. It was like,
somebody took a margin and then another margin and then another margin.
And then it's still here, and here I am taking my margin on it. And then the flip side of that, too, is just like, why? What is the point? And like when you look into some of these wineries that are producing, you know, $100 plus $800, $1,000 bottles, is like, if you take a close look at it, what we were just talking about with like farmers and stuff, you know, like how quickly is all that information like diluted or turned into a marketing ploy, or, you know, it's like glossed over in a way that just like it dehumanizes it. And I get that, just like kind of the point of what I guess I'm trying to say this whole time is like, there's like a very human element to wine, and that's been like systematically removed a lot of the time over the years. And like California wine, I think, is very guilty of that. But when it's reintroduced, and that even speaks to like the retailer, or even like a good somm at a restaurant or whatever, the, you know, floor salesmanship that is not salesmanship. That's just genuine connection, sharing wine. Like if you like wine, like it's worth sharing. It's worth talking about, know? And that's like, that's my whole vibe. It's just like, if you like wine, then like, cool. Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. Like, and then whatever conversation that ensues from that is also cool. Right. But like trying to, again, set a bar at a certain level, or like, again, I don't know, just the exclusive quality is just always something that I've never had the ability to be that person. So like I am not that person, and like that's not my circle, but also just like it gives me the ick. You know? Like it just like it's a huge turnoff. And like if I was a more casual consumer, I would easily like not. I could see why people don't engage with wine. Period. You know? Like,
I don't want to drink that. Fuck those guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're assholes. I mean, it's a, you know, in a way, it's kind of how I feel about the whiskey industry. Like, I love the whiskey industry. It was one of the first spirits that I actually started liking was Scotch, but the whiskey industry has kind of gotten similar, like just so scaled out, and you know, you look at Blanton's and can't fucking buy it anymore, and you look at all these things and everybody's collecting everything, and it's all about, I don't know, again, it's all about exclusivity. That's all it comes down to.
And like social media,
and I'm just lost.
Yeah. I mean, the whiskey one's an interesting thing because like, again, right around my time frame of like getting into beer and stuff was like the peaking of the bourbon bros and shit. Yeah. So like, You know, like I remember we sold Weller at Gus's for 25, $30. So like, and we would only get, you know, a few bottles at a time every couple months or whatever. It was still super hard to get.
But you weren't selling it for 100 just because you could.
We that's what another thing my old boss Billy imparted on me was like, look, like we're going to sell this to the right people. Like it's one fucking bottle of Weller and it's Weller Special Reserve. Like at $30, it's really fucking good. Yeah. It's not that good. You know? Like, it's not that good. It's nice, weeded, soft.
Right.
Bourbon, like it's good. It's not that serious. But like, that whole thing became like actually like interesting part of my journey was like as I like at Woodlands and stuff, like having more ownership over the set and like calculating little deals to like get some of this shit. Mm-hmm. Like I mean like I don't know, like Stag Junior, for example, like that shit's really good. You know, like I could see why somebody would spend $150 on it. Is that person me? No, but like I get why like it is special. Sure. It is different. I mean, it's also like 60% alcohol, so like you're gonna have a nice time. If we were sipping that right now,
you need an ounce and a half.
We'd be having a grand old time. Yeah. But like, you know, I ended up like buying bottles for myself at MSRP and like selling it to Bourbon Bros and shit, and like that's like a nice experience to have like $600 in your pocket for just a stupid fucking bottle of bourbon. Yeah, and it just like speaks to the artificial perception quality, like what is going on, you know, like great if people buy it, awesome, but like again, like what message are we sending, and then the exclusivity, and like I don't know if you ever spend any time on like social media around that stuff or like message boards, etc., or like closed Facebook groups. It's like of all the people who have bought and sold like nice bourbon from me over the years, it's like 1 out of 25 of them I would actually want to spend more than 2 minutes with.
You would
like,
want to share whiskey with.
Exactly, dude. Like, and the one person would be like, he would buy shit I would sell him stuff at MSRP, and then he would come back with like little tasters of like the lineup that he bought and share it with us. Like that's just like logical human interaction. It's like cool. And like he was also like selling stuff, you know, buying stuff at MSRP and reselling it to his homies,
selling it to Europe or whatever.
Whatever. But I was like, all right, cool, you know, do your thing. But like again, like the human element just being the only vital or like viable true connection that like makes any of it possible. And sure, it made possible like selling $600 bottles of whiskey, but nobody buys that shit anymore. You know, also not really. And also Golden Brand's fucking hoards all of it and sells it to Safeway.
That
so, like,
whole thing is odd to me. Or again, I go to Costco and I see like crazy rare allocated shit at Costco, and I go, I mean, you know, if they're selling it for the same cost, like who gives a fuck at the end of the day? You know what I mean?
Again, like it's fitting. It's like good, great. Fucking go get it out there. Like,
makes sense for somebody.
Joe Schmo. You know?
If it's still $5,000 at Costco, I'm still not going to buy it. It's fascinating. Do you think that the beer industry, in a way, is a little less adulterated, I guess, in this artificial inflation kind of dynamic? I mean, obviously we have brands like Pliny the Elder that everybody gets fucking crazy about, and you have the Hanabi stuff that's delicious but similarly has a little bit more of a cult following, but it doesn't feel like people are hoarding things. I mean, Cantillon maybe is an example of something that has become even more a status symbol, but yeah, I'd be interested in your take on that, given that beer was kind of what you cut your teeth on.
I think beer is like it's so, I mean, wine it's just as old world, if not more so, as wine, and like throughout time it's lived up more to its true self over the years as like being something for like everybody. Mm-hmm. So like whatever that cultural symbology is of like being more accessible and affordable, that like poor man's beverage type vibe, whatever, has helped it maintain like accessibility for sure, and like just being true to itself. And I think during my come up in the beer world, like I saw the peak of the 4-pack can hype, the Cantillon hype, the barrel aged stout hype, the hazy IPA hype, and like the truth is like the market, because it's a little bit more I don't want to say volatile, but like a reactive maybe, like the trends hit a little harder because like buying beer is easier. So the 4-pack thing was the hazy IPA thing, boom, boom, boom. Fucking barrel-aged stouts, your Goose Islands and Eclipses of the world.
I was buying a bunch of St. Arnold in Texas.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And like, getting like recognition from these breweries in like random ass Midwest states
Yeah.
that nobody would know about otherwise, but because they made an adjunct 13% bourbon barrel aged 2 year whatever.
Or sours.
Sour. Yeah, like it's
I
all
love Jester King,
dude. Yeah, it's all like in the same umbrella, right? Like, but all of it was rooted in like something genuine. You know, like it's cool to barrel age beer. It's cool to do mixed culture stuff. It's hazy IPAs are actually like not a new style. It's being, people are realizing, oh, you do mixed malt profiles, mixed grain profiles on hop driven beers, and you dry hop instead of boil hop, and like you get all these interesting, like it's all like nerdy and cool. It end up going on social media and becoming like overhyped and overblown, and then you see the market react to it. It goes big, and then I see the beer industry correcting itself much, much quicker. It's much more honest with itself.
Maybe the shelf life of the product.
That helps. Like it all helps for sure. Talk about holding on to shit for too long. Like I have like a 2017 bottle of Parabola in my fucking garage right now, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna drink it. You know, I'm not going to. But like, it's more honest. So like, it requires like it. It's also not as serious, like culture, like whatever the iconography of it is, like not as serious. So like it can't take itself too seriously. Yeah. So it commands more accountability more immediately, I think. And also beer margins are so much lower. That's so like true. The demand for like instant gratification is quicker. And that's where the market has corrected really fucking well, actually, I would say. We sell more beer than anything at Piazza's, not necessarily sales numbers and margin wise, but like by volume. Like we sell more beer and we have more devoted beer customers than anything else. That's and like, cool. It hasn't slowed down. And in fact, like it's interesting because like working in the city and then now the Peninsula, there's definitely like a trend that follows a couple years behind from like major hubs like this is San Francisco down into the surrounding areas. So it's like the Laughing Monks, the Ghost Towns, the Cellar Makers, the Alvarado Streets that were like super, super hype from even like up to like 6, 7, 8 years ago were like premium hype in the city are like still pretty premium hype in the Peninsula. And like, I think in the city too, like you look at Gus's and stuff now, like look at their shelves, like they're selling fucking beer there. Yeah, you know, true. Like they're selling beer and it's $20 a 4-pack. And like they're moving through products, and you'll always find duds and shit. There's always brands that don't do as well and like whatever, but like the ones that sell, they sell really well. And then like the hype side of it, like Cantillons and stuff, like there's a time and a place nowadays, and that's like where there's like the realistic consumer, somebody who actually cares about it will buy it. But like I don't know, you see the reemergence of like lagers and stuff, like grain driven Hanabi, like grain driven lagers, low alcohol, under 5%, like where it just requires somebody like you care a little bit, like you can again nerd out on something a little bit, and like if you want to go further, like you can go deep dive on it. But like
start talking about aged barley wines and shit.
At the end of the day, you know, if you've come around to being like, I like classic Czech style, German style, grain driven lagers, then it's like at the end of the day, you're not too far from drinking Coors Light. Right. And that's fine. You know, like that's totally fucking fine. Like you should enjoy a Coors Light or a Bud or something, or give me a Banquet, baby. Like, come on. Like, but like, it's the same thing. It's like, you're enjoying the product for what it is. And you can, in your mind or with your homies, like take it steps further. But at the end of the day, it's like it's a beverage. You know, like you're drinking
I feel like there's a lot less judgment from like the craft beer drinkers going like, yeah, he fucking drinks Coors. Yeah, you know, it's not like, oh, they drink barefoot.
They've come around to drinking Coors as a status symbol, or drinking PBR as a status
or
symbol.
Miller High Life. You're like, damn, he's cool as fuck.
And like there has to be a wine equivalent of that. Actually what it is drinking Coors.
Exactly.
Being a winemaker, that's it. And like I don't know, that says a lot. We could wax poetic about that plenty, but like that's really it. Like
that's the saying. It takes a lot of beer to make good wine.
Exactly, dude. There's a reason. Somebody knew something. Right?
That's funny. Yeah. How do you liking this wine?
I think it's really delicious, and it's super soft. And palatable.
It's my first time tasting it. It's actually a wine that I've seen many times, but I've never actually had. And I know that we said that we were going to do white, and then this was like a slightly chilled red that has warmed up since it's been out of the fridge. But I don't know if you've ever had the Super Rosso stuff.
I have not actually.
Yeah, this is, I guess the guy's name is Ted Glennon, and he's like a somm. He's well respected in the industry, and he's been around. And I remember when the wine launched, everybody was posting pictures of it, and I was like, "What the fuck is this strawberry wine?" But it's really delicious. And I was just at Parasol on Market in Noe Valley that just opened, and I saw this bottle, and I was talking to the owner. I go, I've never actually had that. And he goes, here, take a bottle. And I said, well, I'm shooting a podcast later. I'm going to use it for the podcast. And he was like, great. And I was like, great.
Dude, sick blend, too. Yeah, I was like, I was kind of thinking like Grenache makes a lot of sense, actually, because it's got that really nice, like, mid-palate, little bit of weight. And I was like, it's like Gamay at first. And I was like, it's not Pinot for sure. And, like, actually, when I was talking about Cab Pfeffer, and I was like, "There's no fucking way." He didn't grab Cab Pfeffer.
Not usually something I would blind people on, but
yeah, I'm glad I didn't even try. So thank you for not embarrassing me.
No, and I've always said like I'm always very much like the wines are not always blindable because I don't want to do that. I mean, it's like more than anything, I always think of it as a story, and I was thinking of this as like small California producer, minimal intervention. And that reminds me a lot of your program. I didn't have immediate access to something from Santa Cruz. Otherwise, I would have poured you Santa Cruz wine probably. But
I was going to bring a Santa Cruz wine.
Yeah.
Didn't make it to the store today. But, dude, that one's sick, actually.
It's really good, right?
And I'm actually glad it's not chilled either.
Yeah,
like, I find, like...
I think with a little chill, it wouldn't have sucked either.
It'd be totally fine. Yeah, I find, like, the best chillable reds are better or as good not chilled.
Yeah,
you know?
I
don't like, I don't want I don't know. Like
chilling it doesn't necessarily make it better. Yeah.
It makes it maybe a little more appealing to a certain crowd.
Sure. Yeah.
In the right environment, and it's great to share, but like otherwise, like, dude, I actually really like it.
And so for anybody that's listening, it's a 24 Super Rosso is what it's called. It's the red wine from the Central Coast. It's Grenache, Cab Pfeffer dominant, the little Zin, hand harvested, foot treaded, spontaneous fermentation, oak barrel for 6 months, 47 barrels produced. Yeah. So anyways, it's fun and it's crunchy and it's a good kind of afternoon red.
No, it's cool, dude. I like that. See, like this is like a certain thing where like a thoughtful red blend. Like there's something to be said for.
Who blends Cab Pfeffer?
That too. Talking shit about like the generic natural wine that's like a California red blend that's $30 to $40 on the shelf. Yeah, and it's like too acidic or like too chillable or requires a chill to be
because it's
choke
loaded
it down.
With flaws.
Where like this is actually thoughtful. There might be a product of circumstance where it's like, oh, I'm gonna throw this blend together.
We have a little bit of this,
but like it has integrity. You know, like the wine has integrity and like it's unique and different, and it's just like ultimately, and this I tell customers this sometimes, like, it's just good red wine. Yeah. And like, if you like wine, then good red wine is like a great fucking selling point.
Right.
Like,
and that's what I say about natural wine too. I'm like, I like good natural wine. I like good orange wine. I like good wine. You know, there's a lot of bad stuff on all of those categories. You know, it's very controversial.
You're saying a lot of things right here, Chris. Sure you want to walk it back?
This is going public. I'm going on the record.
Did you say good orange wine?
I said good orange wine. I said good orange wine.
I had a good orange wine yesterday, actually.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Have you ever had the Bayo wines?
Palabea. Yeah. Dude, oh, fuck. I mean,
2017 Trebbiano thing. Like, dude, it's so nuts.
Those wines are great. And like Radicon and stuff. And we just started selling one, and I was like, orange wine. And it's like, you know, it would be like $40 retail. And I was kind of like, and then I saw the packaging, and I was like, packaging's really nice. And I tasted it. I was like, yeah, it's really good. You know, I mean, when we opened the wine bar, we were pouring an orange wine that we were getting for like, we were pouring it for like $11 a glass, and people really liked it. And that's obviously 3 years ago. The trend was a little bit higher, but yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're getting to the point where we're gonna wrap soon. Do you have any comments or statements that you'd like to make to the wide world of the wine industry?
I think I've snuck most of it in there. Any agenda-driven, anti-conglomerate messages, or
let's get overt. I'm asking you to be overt right now.
Yeah. Get it out now. No, honestly, like it's super cool to be here. So thank you, and it's like it's cool to interact with you and like get to know you. Actually, like I remember seeing you on social media as like just your name, the Reluctant Somm. I'm like, all right, this guy must be cool. Yeah. At least he's self-aware at worst, you know, like at the very worst, he's self-aware.
I'd rather be a walking I can't think of the fucking word. We drank too much wine. Hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude, it's cool to be here, and like I've listened to plenty of your podcasts, so like I think you curate a really cool base. Not speaking for myself here, you know, hopefully
I'll speak for you.
It's like, yeah, dude, the wine industry is really interesting right now, and I'm really glad to be a part of it. And I hope that kind of the messaging that we've shared, and even actually this wine is like a perfect little wrap around the idea that like just demystifying wine in general, sharing wine, like, dude, people, communal spaces, really, like the shit that like humanity's really built on. Like if the wine industry is going to survive, we have to enable individuals like ourselves to be able to sell and consume wine in a way that makes sense for whatever the world throws at us, you know, whatever's next. Fingers crossed, nothing too crazy. That stuff like this is still like part of it, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Awesome. Sick.
Dude.
All right, dude.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.